Water pollution is defined as any change in water quality that harms living creatures or make water unfit for human use, such as drinking, irrigation, and recreation. It disrupts ecosystem and can lead to disease and even death in both human and other species. The main causes include agricultural practices, industrial activities, and mining. As the human population continues to grow and the demand for resource increases, the problem of water pollution becomes even more serious.
Next, let's see what are the sources of water pollution. The causes of water pollution are divided into two types, which are point source pollution and non-point source pollution. The main difference between point source and non-point source pollution is the method by which the pollutant is emitted. Point sources come from a single point source, while non-point sources arise from sources that cannot be observed. Most pollutants that come from land use, for example, are non-point pollutants because they are not easily traced to a single point of emission and are combined with other sources. Pollutants released from industry and wastewater treatment plants are two common types of point source pollutants. Factory operations include oil refineries, pulp and paper mills, and chemical and vehicle makers. These often discharge one or more pollutants into the water, usually after the treatment. Some pulp and paper mill operations transfer their waste to wastewater treatment plants for the treatment. Wastewater treatment plants, after processing the waste, discharge the treat effluent into a stream or river. Next, examples of non-point source pollution are runoff from urban land use and from on-site wastewater treatment facilities. During rain, stormwater runoff from streets is contaminated with surface pollutants including automobile oil and tire debris. This combines with runoff from dirt and sediment from construction sites as well as with chemicals from industrial regions. Similarly, runoff can also result from agricultural land use. In agricultural settings, pesticides, fertilizers, and animal waste can wash along with the soil into water bodies.
Next, moving on to the chemical processes in water pollution. Chemical reactions can certainly occur in water pollution, but it depends on the type of the pollutants and the conditions of the water itself. Heavy metal ions like lead-2, iron-2, and copper-2 are one of the examples for water pollutants that can trigger a chemical process in water pollution. Three key chemical processes that occur in water pollution are acid-base reactions, oxidation-reduction reactions, and complexation reaction. This is the acid-base reactions of lead-2 ions. In water pollution, acid-base reactions can affect the solubility and mobility of heavy metals, influence the degradation of organic pollutants, and impact the toxicity and bioavailability of pollutants. Second, the picture shows an oxidation-reduction reaction or redox reaction involving the iron-2 ions. Redox reactions and complexation reactions both can affect the degradation of organic pollutants and influence the speciation and toxicity of heavy metals. The following below is the complexation reaction of copper-2 ions.
Now, I will explain about how water pollution will affect on the environment and human life. First is effect on the environment. Acidification or acid rain and acid industrial discharge lower the water pH, affecting species diversity, which is acid-tolerant ones proliferate diatom below a certain pH, affecting aquatic food webs. Second, eutrophication. Excess nutrients from agriculture, sewage and industry promote algal blooms which decrease dissolved oxygen, kill fish, disrupt aquatic plant growth and can create dead zone. Next is persistent organic pollutants, heavy metals, detergent, and industrial effluent disrupt plants and animal health. These include phytotoxicity, poor plant growth, photosynthesis reduction, and species loss. Lastly, thermal pollution. Discharge of heated water from power plants reduce dissolved oxygen, also disrupt reproductive and metabolic cycles, also lower aquatic biodiversity. Next is effect on human life. Exposure to chemicals such as fluoride, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and petrochemical can result in a range of health problems. For example, high arsenic exposure can cause respiratory and skin cancer. Second, pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and parasites in polluted water lead to diseases such as typhoid, diarrhea, cholera, and hepatitis. These illnesses are particularly dangerous for children under 5, causing high mortality in low and middle-income countries. Next is emerging pollutants like pharmaceuticals, personal care products, and artificial sweetener now detected in water bodies cause long-term health risks such as hormonal disruption, antibiotic resistance, and immune system effects. Lastly, ingestion of water contaminated with radioactive substances can result in cancer, radiation sickness, and genetic mutation.
Moving on to the regulation and the guideline regarding the water pollution. The first one is the Water Service Industry Act 2006. It is administered by Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara and their focuses to regulate water supply and sewerage services in Peninsular Malaysia and Labuan. And they also prohibit the pollution of water supply sources. The second one is the Environmental Quality Act 1974. This is a primary law for the environmental protection in Malaysia, including the water pollution control, where they prohibit the discharge of any effluents or a pollutant into the inland water without a license from the Department of Environment, and they also requires an environmental impact assessment for a certain prescribed activity that may affect the water body. Next one is a National Water Quality Standard. It is to classify river water quality from class 1 to 5, which is from the clean to highly polluted river. It also used for monitoring and management purposes by the DOE. And lastly is the Local Government Act 1976. They give a local authority power to manage and control drain, wastewater and sanitation. And the local council may enact by law to prevent the pollution from household or small businesses.
Now, before I conclude this video, I would like to share what can be done to reduce the water pollution. It all starts with a simple step, which is use compost or manure to fertilize yard and garden plants rather than the store-bought inorganic fertilizer. Next, reduce the amount of pesticides you use, especially around waterways. After that, we need to avoid flushing unnecessary medication down the toilet. Lastly, paints, pesticides, solvent, oil, antifreeze, and other dangerous substances should never be poured onto the ground or down the drain. In conclusion, water pollution is a serious issue caused mainly by agriculture, industrial activities, and runoff. Chemically, water pollution involves acid-base, redox, and completion reaction, which reduce the water quality and harm both human and ecosystem. Its effects include disease, toxic exposure, and ecosystem damage like eutrophication and thermal pollution. Luckily, Malaysia has law like the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and Water Service Industry Act 2006 to control pollution. But we also need to play our part by reducing chemical use, using natural fertilizer, and properly disposing of waste like how I explained before. That's all from us. Thank you.